Worn out faces.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm John and this is Matt. And we're back for another game video, and today we're going to be discussing what our favorite video games are to play in the fall. So we're going to be talking about some of our personal favorites and some that we're really nostalgic for, but we're also going to be talking about games that really give off that fall feeling. You know, you got that spooky season, heading into winter, just before Christmas time kind of games, and that's what we're going to talk about here on the channel today. But before we do all that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, film reviews, tech reviews, and game reviews, we do them all here on the channel. None would help us out more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Matt, why don't you tell them a little bit about our history of playing video games in the fall, because I feel like that's our biggest season as far as gaming has always gone.
Yeah, well, I mean, traditionally a lot of the games, big AAA games, first-party games, everything tends to come out, you know, September, October, November, December, you know, just to get it out for Christmas. And, you know, that's because you get a drought in the summertime. There's nothing really comes out in the summer usually, and then it overflows from basically September, October all the way into like January, February, and we get just too much to play, in my opinion.
Yeah, you get overwhelmed, especially because Matt, actually, I remember when we were growing up, Matt's birthday is in November, and Matt would always get all the games, because mostly all the games that they want out for Christmas, it's the same thing with films, is they want all that stuff out in November so that people who aren't like us, who play every game or every movie or watch every movie, will grab it in November, but most people get it for Christmas.
Yeah.
So parents going out and shopping, so you want to have that on store shelves in December.
But we couldn't wait.
No, we could not wait.
No.
And when we had money, and which was like, you know, kids, we just, all the money we ever worked for from the late 2000s all the way until we, you know, ended
Making
up having
$200 a week, that's a couple video games.
That's a couple games. Me and Matt used to go to GameStop, so you're going to see a lot of PS2 and a lot of Xbox 360 eras, because that's when we were just picking up.
Yeah, I want to state, but this is going to be very, very heavy on Xbox, because we are Xbox guys. Specifically the 360 is just the time of our lives where we were at the perfect age for the 360, and the 360 is still our favorite console by far.
No, it's still.
I wish we can go back, because that had the best games in my opinion. PS2 was great, PS3 was okay, but the 360 era was just a golden era for gaming for us.
Yeah, and believe me, like, you know, we live in New York, so you get that crisp fall air. I will get like a flashback, almost like, not PTSD, but a happy nostalgic. Yeah. I'll get overwhelmed with nostalgic and be like, oh my god, did you feel that? It felt like Need for Speed out today.
Yeah, the leaves hit the ground. It's just, ooh.
Yeah. So we're going to start it off with games that we think that should be played in the fall, and we'll end it off with some of our nostalgic favorites that aren't necessarily fall games, but that we just have great memories from the fall about.
So I want to state that this list is not in a specific order. I just have a pile of games that I took off my shelf. And again, they're not in a specific order. It's just a random order, and
this isn't a top 10 list.
Not a top 10.
Yeah, we were gonna do top 10, but we couldn't pick a number one, and we couldn't narrow it down to 10.
But my favorite game of all time is in this list.
Yes, it is. So that's on number one on all of your lists.
Right.
If it's available to be there, it's going to number one.
It just so happens to be a fall game for us.
Yeah, and that's a big. I have some stories. We're actually going to do a deep dive into that game in November, so we might kind of, you know, linger on it a little bit here.
So let's start this off with Resident Evil 4.
Makes sense.
Yes, this is the Xbox One version, so this came out back in the PS2 days.
It actually originally was released on the
GameCube,
yep.
right? Yep, It was GameCube, PS2, it was on the Wii. I think it's on PS3, it's on 360.
I think that and Skyrim, I think they're on everything.
Yeah, it's on the Switch. It's everywhere. And there's a remake for this game coming very soon. And I'm interested to check this out because I came late to the Resident Evil part. My first Resident Evil was Resident Evil 5. So I love Resident Evil 5. I know a lot of people don't.
Oh, I love that game too.
I think 6 was the bad one in my opinion. That was way worse. But I really enjoyed the co-op part of 5. That was just my entry to the series. So I didn't play this game until I actually got this one. I tried it on 360 a long time ago. I got like maybe a quarter of the way through it and I lost interest. But I played it all the way through maybe last year on the Xbox One. And I enjoyed it. It's good. It's dated. I'm excited to see what they do with the remake. I'm sure everyone's played this game. But the end of this game is with the escort mission. When it just becomes an escort mission, it's
I hope they fix that. I'm sure they will, because that's one of the biggest complaints, because otherwise Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece.
To some. Again, it's not my favorite Resident Evil. I understand why it can be. It was the first to really adapt that behind the back view, because 1, 2, and 3 were all the
tank controls.
Right,
and
I guess tank controls with the fixed camera angle.
Yes, the fixed camera
Which
angles.
I played the Resident Evil 0 and 1 remake on the Xbox One. I played
Resident Evil 2 remake. I think
3 was the only one they didn't do, and then I got really into it when they re-released Resident Evil 2 and 3, because those were fantastic games.
I think those are my 2 favorite right now, the remakes.
You played those, right?
Oh yeah, I love them. And also Village, like you can play any of them.
Village was fantastic.
Village though is, I think, out of all the Resident Evil games, not a fall game. I think that
Winter.
Yeah, it takes place in winter.
Actually, as you said, I was like, fuck, I forgot Village. But
no, that's a winter game.
And I played that 3 times. But, I mean, yeah, it's cold out. You could scoot that in, but there is snow on the ground, so that's next season. So that's not...
Yeah, this one, the leaves are on the ground. Especially in the beginning, it looks like fall.
I know Jake Baldino from Game Ranks talks about this game all the time. Just the dead woods, just... the dead trees, the leaves on the ground that like no one's
Same thing. He's from Long Island, so we see those woods just driving down roads.
Yeah, he is from Long Island, and no other game has really nailed that look yet. Actually, you know what? The next one on the list kind of does make it there, but let's talk about that now.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't know if you played this one, but this is the Blair Witch.
I never have.
Did you play?
No,
you didn't.
No,
okay.
Yeah, it's all you.
This game was pretty good. So this was made by Bloober Team. They just also did, what was that other one? But the Blair Witch was interesting. I did play this game all the way through, and if you're familiar with the movies, I didn't see the movies, so I can't really say if this is like the movies. But, you're in the dead woods, you're in the fall, and there's a lot of supernatural stuff with this game. And it was a good time. It's a good experience. It's not a very long game. But I had a great time with it. It's definitely worth the play if you're into spooky games in the spooky season. This is something you should check out, and it might still be on Game Pass. I'm not 100% sure.
So the name of that game that you were trying to remember? The Medium.
The Medium, yes.
Yes. And that's a horror game, too. Very much so.
Yes. The Medium was pretty good. I did have fun with that, and there was also Bloober Team. Mm-hmm. I think they did Blair Witch right before they did The Medium.
Gotcha. Yeah, The Medium I remember being hyped up as the first exclusive game that wasn't on the Xbox One. I didn't play it though.
So now this one, this is a bit of a cheat, but this is Borderlands. The original Borderlands. This is the Game of the Year edition that has all the DLC. So there's a specific DLC in this, the Zombie Island. The Zombie Island of Dr. Ned. And in my opinion, I think that was my favorite DLC of, some might disagree, but it was a whole new level you go into. It's Halloween themed, it's spooky, you're collecting hearts, and it's a fun time. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and that is, they really nailed the Halloween theme. They took some of the characters and they recycled them and just zombified them, or made them mummies, or just made them Halloween themed. It was a good time. It's definitely worth playing, and this is probably pretty cheap now. I know Borderlands 3 is out, and the Tiny Tina Wonderlands game, which is all fantastic. But this is where it all started, and this has a Halloween DLC.
Yeah, one of our biggest supporters, one of our longtime friends. I remember you and Vex. Those were your games. I didn't get into them I didn't get into Borderlands until this year with Tiny Tina.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was just never my thing. That was always you and Vex.
You never played the original?
I played the original with you guys, but I didn't. I was like, it's just not for me, and I kind of just jumped out, and you took off.
Interesting.
All right, now these are big fall horror games.
These are big fall games, and that is Left 4 Dead 1 and 2.
Yep.
I love these games, and if you played Back 4 Blood, this is where it started. Mm-hmm. So this team, but it's basically Left 4 Dead 3.
Yeah, Valve was the actual producer of these games, and they don't put out thirds, so they stopped at 2. And the team that made Back 4 Blood, they were the ones who helped make these games.
Valve hates the number 3 for some reason. Give us Half-Life 3, goddammit.
Yeah, Matt's a huge Half-Life fan.
Please. Anyway. I think I would tie 2 more. I mean, they're both very, very in that fall season, but for me, 2 seems a little bit more fall to me.
The maps were very much
specifically the carnival map, where you're or the fair or the carnival. And I remember there was one achievement that was so much fun. There was a gnome you have to carry from the beginning to the end of the level. And I remember actually playing with Vex. We had a great time with this one. And I just love these games. These are fantastic. The replayability is amazing.
Incredible.
I just got a gaming PC put together within the past year or so, and I'm pretty new to online. I'm pretty new to PC gaming, and I actually re-downloaded these games off of Steam, and there's still a big community playing the original Left 4 Dead on Steam on PC, and it's still a great time.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I love them. That was I think that was my last time I was really into split screen co-op, was with the Left 4 Dead. Because I remember playing with, Dennis and my brother Ryan and Dennis's brother Cody. We used to do 4-player co-op for Left 4 Dead, just on the couch, co-op.
Yeah, these are huge multiplayer co-op games. Without the co-op, these games would be good to okay, but the co-op just makes it. These are
one of the greatest
perfect
things.
Games.
They took what we loved about co-op, like the gaming world, and just kind of ruined it, because that was always the biggest thing. Like, you can take a good game and make it better with co-op. Perfect example is Crackdown. Like, Crackdown would be an okay game, but with the co-op, it just gets so much better.
Makes it perfect.
Yep.
So next on the list is Fear. Now this is a big one for me, and I know Vex, if you're watching, this is a big one for you too. This is, it's I wouldn't say a big fall game, but it's a spooky game. You could argue that it's in fall. I'm not 100% sure. You're mostly indoors, but it's a very spooky, scary thriller type game, and it's an amazing FPS. This actually started back on the PC long before it came to the 360, and this was actually a port which did great actually. But it kind of got buried by Gears of War when that came out. So a lot of people don't really know about this game, which is a shame, because this game is fantastic. But it had some sequels, so I guess enough people knew about it, and it did well enough to warrant the sequels. However, nothing touches the first one. This is easily the best of the series, although the expansion packs, Fear Files, I think it's Persuade Mandate and Extraction Point were the expansion names. They're just like this. Once they went to 2 and 3, they kind of changed the play style and the whole game engine, and it kind of took away from it a little bit. Still good games, not as good as the first. And this is a must play. And this is also on Steam. I played this on PC recently also, and it plays fantastic.
Would you say the sequels 2 and 3 lost the fear factor?
For you, fear is not a factor.
And now, next up is a big one for us. Even though it's a fall game, it's got the first one has a very big nostalgic memory. I know you know this.
Yes, and that is going to be Condemned 1 and 2.
Yep, so the first Condemned, me and Matt, we've mentioned Video City, was a store here on Long Island, since closed down. But we were renting games, and we went there, up the block, in 2006, early 2006, we had our 360s for a few months, and we rented a game called The Outfit. And we brought it home, and we thought this game was just hot garbage. So we literally rode our bikes back to Video City, and we swapped it out for Condemned. We never heard of Condemned, and we were just like, okay, well, The Outfit sucked, let's try this.
This is very early 360.
It's early 2006. I think Condemned, if I'm correct, is a launch title.
So, it might actually be a launch title.
Yeah, Condemned.
Because Condemned was one of the earlier one of the only games on 360 not to have an even 1,000 gamer score. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there's only 970 gamer score in this game. Which
anyone's going to know, it's going to be you.
Well, I mean, Vex might know too. It's so strange, because if you look at 360 games until the DLC started coming out with 1250, and then Xbox One, they kind of just threw the rule book out the window, and now there's games with 6,000 gamer score. It was 1,000 gamer score with a maximum of 50 achievements on the 360. Now, this game had 970. I don't know why they couldn't just tack on a couple points to a different achievement for the even 1,000. I have no idea. It still sits like that on my gamer card, and it kind of bothers me a little bit that it looks incomplete.
Yeah.
But
as far as, people love Resident Evil as far as that survival horror game, just call me crazy, and I know. But my favorite all time of the survival horror franchises in general is just Condemned. I love
these
Condemned.
games are spooky as hell.
Yeah, and they are very scary. Condemned is just, I mean, you take the melee weapons. It was so much fun, and it
wasn't really a gun game. Like, you had a gun, but if you found a gun that had 1 or 2 bullets in it,
and you had to be sparse with those.
You're not going through the levels with the bullets. You're picking up broken 2x4s on the ground. You're ripping a pipe off the wall. You're finding a broomstick. You're grabbing a mannequin leg from the department fucking store. That was a spooky level.
Yeah,
I think that was the scariest level for me, was the department store.
And then people talk about Arkham Asylum and investigating crime scenes. You investigate crime scenes like crazy in the Condemned.
Yeah, so I want to, let's touch on this a little bit more. Condemned, you're a detective, and you're chasing this psychopath, I think serial killer X, or that might have been 2. I don't remember what the name was. It's been a while. But you're basically following this guy through this rundown city, and they're not quite crackheads or zombies, but there's some sort of weird drug in the game that's going around and turning them into these bloodthirsty psychopaths. They're not trying to eat you or anything. They're just trying to fucking kill you, and they're everywhere. So those are the enemies in the game. And there's some supernatural stuff towards the end and stuff like that, but you're investigating crime scenes, you're finding bodies, you're following blood trails. It's a fantastic game. This was an amazing, probably the best of the 360 launch titles, in my opinion.
I love Condemned. It still holds up well.
Condemned's amazing. I played this a couple years ago, and I played the second one, and they still hold up. The graphics aren't
That's the
fantastic.
problem. But it's very dark, both of them. Very, very swampy greens, blacks, oranges, kind of, very dark colored games.
Grays, yeah.
And the second one kind of even goes a little bit into the sci-fi genre,
Right.
which is especially towards the end, which is good.
Yeah, the Condemned 2 had a little bit more action to it, but the first one this is a must-play. If you've never played Condemned, this game is fantastic. It'll scare the shit out of you. It's kind of the closest thing that I could kind of compare it to would be like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Yes, that is actually a good comparison.
Especially the early farmhouse in the beginning is a lot like Condemned.
They're very lit. They're lit very much the same way.
And it's the first person. You're looking over your shoulder. You hear shit going on. You know something's around that corner. It's just a fantastic game, and it's just a brawler, really, because you're just beating the shit out of these crackheads with freaking
pipes and legs and
yeah, it's awesome. It's a bloodbath. It's a bloody good time.
I'm playing that this fall. I'm saying it now. I am.
Are you?
I want you convinced me. You convinced me, and I convinced myself to go back and play Condemned.
I'm not sure if it's backwards compatible.
No, it's.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna get upset if I can't go home and play that.
I mean, we can get you an Xbox One. Alright, so this next one, I don't know if you've played this one.
I have. I played it last year, remember? I didn't play the remake.
Did?
But I didn't play the remake.
So you played the remake.
No, I didn't play the remake. I played the original right before they announced the remake.
Ah, okay. It's a psychological action thriller. I think we've talked about this in another video because this is just an amazing piece in my collection, and that is Alan Wake. Look how this thing is thick as a dick. Like, this is amazing. It's
a book. Yeah.
It is a book. It is a book. So, a long story short, Alan Wake, he's a writer, and he's got, I guess, writer's block, and he goes on vacation to this, this quiet, cold town, and it's spooky season. Yeah, well, they don't say it's Halloween, but the leaves are changing. There's leaves on the ground. It's cold out there. He's wearing a jacket. So it's that time of year, and he goes there to write, and just something happens, and it all unravels, and it's a fantastic story. This is a very story-heavy game, and there is a sequel coming out for this, which I am very excited about, and the remake just came out, which did fantastic. If you haven't played that, go play it. But this is just such a nice piece. Like, you pull the slipcover off, and it, like, if you remember, like, physical books.
Yeah.
Like, my dad has a lot of Stephen King books, and they have, like, that texture to it. And it just looks like an actual book. This is when a collector's edition for a video game meant something.
Yes.
Now a collector's edition is $10 more for a couple skins, and you don't even get anything else.
They don't change it. Sometimes Best Buy will do the nice thing, and they'll give you a steel book that you can put
that
the
you don't
game
even
in.
want.
No, and they just have them stacked up on the bottom. I don't know if every Best Buy is like this.
Yeah, they're stacked on the game in the game section, and nobody wants it. But back then, like in the 360 era specifically, because I have a lot of collector's editions for the 360. And this is just, oh my god, look, it's signed. And there's actually a real book in there.
Yeah, with that. Oh
Look,
my god.
The paperback, a hardcover. Come on.
Good paper stock.
Look at this.
Yeah, I know.
Are you kidding me?
The amount of effort that you put into that, and this isn't like a sequel to another game. This is just from their. Oh, it's an original story told by an original company. I mean, did they have any other games? But no, they had the first 2 Max Paynes. But was there something else before this? Or was that it?
I think this was it. Remedy?
Yeah, Remedy Games. They had the first 2 Max Paynes, and I think this might have been it. But for them to have a collector's edition...
Off the top of my head, and then I know they did Quantum Break and Control.
Control, which is one of the best.
Control was good.
Yeah, and they all have that similar tone. They're very story-heavy. You can tell they're very much inspired by, David Lynch.
Here's another thing in the past, an instruction booklet.
Oh, yeah,
you don't get those anymore.
No, you do not.
And then, what is it? Oh, so there's a bonus disc and the soundtrack.
Which is crazy.
Are you kidding me? Come on, you don't get any of this stuff.
Again, this takes place in the Pacific Northwest, very much inspired by Twin Peaks. Like I said, David Lynch. You could tell that Remedy Games is inspired by David Lynch and that dreamlike feeling that he creates in all his films, and it just carries over perfectly into Alan Wake. It is awesome.
Alan Wake is a must-play in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must-play in general. It's just a fantastic game if you're into spooky games, if you're into psychological action thrillers, if you're into any of that stuff. Just play Alan Wake, please.
You won't be beat.
You will not regret it. It's a fantastic story. It plays great. It's a great time.
Mm-hmm. And now I think we're shifting now into nostalgia games because this is not technically a game that takes place in the fall. In fact, it's not even one game.
Well, it overlapped. There is some overlap. These are a bit nostalgic. These are games that we played in the fall that we're just very nostalgic for, but still kind of have the fall feeling. And then towards the end of the pile is just strictly nostalgia. Mm-hmm. But for that, the first one for me is the Orange Box.
Released in 2007.
Well, on the 360.
Yeah, well, all these games are, the Orange Box itself.
This is the box set. This is the Valve box set at the time for console. So I'm specifically talking about Half-Life 2 right now, because if you did play that game, it is kind of...
Yeah, it is folly.
It is folly, especially once you get to Ravenholm and all that. There's that, that's a kind of scary part of the game,
Mm-hmm.
It's starts off as a first-person shooter, and then it's got some horror elements once you get into that one town with all the...
I would say both Half-Lives are definitely kind of horror-inspired games in ways.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but, that's the world that they have created is, it's a spooky world.
I mean, I don't want to call them face huggers, but that's basically what they are. Those little crab things that grab onto them and turn them into zombies. That whole town is infested by them, and that was a scary part of the game in Half-Life 2. And then this also has the expansions for Half-Life 2. There's 2 expansions on it, which they could have easily just made Half-Life 3 out of. But again, Valve does not like 3. This also has Portal, which is a must-play.
Oh yeah,
fantastic puzzle game. And actually, if you own that on PC, I heard the other day, they're making an RTX update for it.
They've already shot it off. You've seen the...
No,
there's videos out of it, yeah.
I heard it looks great.
It does. It makes it look way better.
Even though I just replayed that game not too long ago, it's not... You can beat Portal in, less than 2 hours, easily.
That was the only game I believe that was new for the Orange Box was Portal, if I'm correct. And then Team Fortress 2 obviously was not.
It might have... And introducing Portal, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, this was, I guess, when Portal came out. They bundled them all together. And Team Fortress 2 is a fantastic...
We had a lot of fun online with that.
That's a great...
Yeah, we did.
It's a class-based multiplayer game, and it's a lot of fun. And I think
I would say that, yeah, not only that, but that's a game that kind of inspired, what modern-day people play with their, not Team Fortress, Fortnite, and what was the other one, the big one?
Well, not Fortnite. It's class-based.
Well, yeah, what was the game... Why am I drawing a blank on the game that was so... Overwatch. It kind of reminds me of,
Overwatch is class-based, yes. Yeah,
so that's kind of like what Overwatch became. Team Fortress did it first.
You have a medic, you have a scout, you have a heavy, you have an engineer, you have all different classes that do different things, and it's a good time because...
Cartoon art style.
Yeah, the cartoony art style.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really fun game. It was a lot of fun. It's probably dead on the Orange Box, but if you got Steam, I believe it's free, and you should check it out.
Why not?
There's still some people out there playing it. This is my favorite game of all time, and that's Gears of War. And, it kind of does kind of take place in the fall time.
Oh yeah, there's definitely the leaves are on the ground for sure in areas of this game. It's dark. It definitely feels like it takes place. One of the best commercials of all time in video game history was because of this game.
And Cliff Belinsky, he's the one who this was his baby. Him and Rod Ferguson, they made this game, and this changed our lives.
This really was. So, quick story about how Matt even got to this game. So, me and Matt used to live together. My parents divorced, so even though my mom lived in the same house as Matt's mom, and on the weekends I go to my dad's, and he asked me to pick him up Tony Hawk's Project 8, and I just was there, so I was like, all right, you know what I'm also going to grab? I'm going to grab Gears of War. I keep seeing the commercial. I was sold on the commercial. They hyped this hell out of this game, so I bought it, and then Matt ended up playing Gears of War, and I ended up playing Project 8, and then Matt got this edition for his birthday, which is also in
yeah, my birthday is November 16th, so I played his copy a week or two before, and I said, whoa. So I went and I made sure I got the collector's edition. And again, back to collector's editions, like, this is still pretty nice, and this has a lot of wear and tear on it, because this game was always in rotation for me because I was going for that Seriously achievement. That was the 10,000 online kills. And if you played this game, the original 360 version, there was no respawns. There was 4v4. And if you died in the beginning of the round, you had to spectate until the round was over. So games took a very long time. It took a very long time to get to a 10,000 kills online. But I did it. It took over a year, probably.
Oh, I remember. People don't remember, but, like, take you back to 06, you think of, like, that's early Xbox Live. Like, Xbox Live was around, but, you know, this is where if you were the host, because there was an achievement for hosting the games.
Yes.
If you were the host, you had slightly more power than everyone. I remember people
the host shotgun.
The host shotgun. You'd be like, that guy's the fucking host. Yeah. Watch out for the host.
No,
like, just screaming at each other.
Yeah, you always wanted to play on the host team or be the host. But this game is just fantastic. Halo was always my favorite game, but then Gears of War came out and really just it took the number one spot for me. I think after 3, I kind of they kind of lost me.
Well, that was after Epic kind of sold the studio too.
Yeah, now it's the Coalition.
Mm-hmm.
But you had this beautiful art book in here, and this was a showpiece for the 360 at the time. This really unlocked the 360. No game was as beautiful or taxing on the system as the Gears of War. This pushed the 360 to the limits.
I would say it was the first next-gen game we got.
Oh, for sure. And then you have the normal cover art in there, the game, the bonus disc, and let me tell there's another bonus disc in there. And let me tell you, this game has hundreds of hours on this for me. I played the hell out of this nice tin with all this beautiful art on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a fantastic game. For me, this is a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love Gears of War. I played the Ultimate Edition just as much when that came out. I got Seriously again in that. And I love Gears of War. Something about Gears of War just really worked with me. And the co-op was amazing. How many times have me and you played?
Thanksgiving 2006. We were both already beaten this game. We might have been doing Expert, or I don't remember.
Insane.
We were doing Insane. We were doing something. So we took both of our Xbox. We went to my mom was on her second divorce at the time. So she was trying to rekindle the love with my, at the time, stepdad. So me and Matt went there with our 360s, and we literally were in different rooms playing 360s and chatting in the house while playing Insane Gears of War, because that's what we were working on at the time.
Yeah, we were working on our Insane playthrough to get that achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you got the I Can't Quit You Dom achievement. That's for playing the game co-op as Dom Santiago.
Yeah.
And it's just a fantastic game. The story's amazing. The gameplay was like nothing else at the time. Well, it was kind of like Killzone. Not Killzone, I'm sorry. Kill Switch, PS2 game. That had the kind of run and gun cover system. But this really took it to another level. The headshot sounds with Gears of War. It just the pops.
Torpo. Oh my god.
The sniper.
Well, the sniper, but
headshots, or even if you were good enough with the pistol, and there was weapon achievements for all
one of them.
For all of them in the multiplayer. The sticky grenades, and they just explode to pieces. You'd shoot them with the shotgun, they explode into pieces, blow the top half of them off, and it sounded like just splashing water. Oh my god, just the headshot sound is so gritty, and Gears of War is just so amazing.
Yeah, if you haven't yet.
It's on Game Pass. You have to go try it out.
There's a remake of it.
The Ultimate Edition
Yeah.
is this game prettied up. It's actually the PC version. Play this game. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And that leads us into another game that we played in the fall of 2006 that me and Matt rented. And you said Blockbuster, but I'm pretty sure it was Hollywood Video.
It could have been Hollywood Video. And again, we rented 2 copies of this because we had 2 360s basically next to each other. And I remember it was because my dad wanted us to go outside and rake the leaves, and we just got this game that we rented that we wanted to play, and we were working on the achievements. And that game is Marvel's Ultimate Alliance.
Yes, and I only have ever played this one, and I played a little bit of 2, but we have such great memories.
Yeah,
of this
was a great game. And this is like before the MCU, the
MCU
universe.
started in 2008, so, this has got those characters, but they're not in their MCU form. They're cartoon form.
They're not, that, and
comic book form.
I wasn't a comic book guy, so
No.
I wasn't too familiar with a lot of these characters. I mean, I knew most of them were, but I didn't know, like, the Dark Avengers or, the deep cut like that. I knew the basic main stuff. But, I loved playing as Wolverine, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and this is just a really, really fun co-op game.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
Blades in this game.
Yeah, you had the above camera angle, pointing down on it, and, before Marvel games, because now we get Marvel games all the time, and usually they're not great.
No.
We've gotten some, like the Guardians of the Galaxy
that
from
was
last year,
actually
you said
really
was
good, and I like the Spider-Man on PS4, and I can't wait for Wolverine to
And
come
they
out.
just announced an Iron Man game from EA.
Iron Man, and they also announced the Black Panther Captain America game.
Really? I didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
So there's plenty, and believe me, obviously these are money-making franchises. Everyone wants.
Mark Bernardin from Fat Man Beyond, Kevin Smith's buddy, is actually writing for that. I want to say it's an Annapurna game, who's doing the Captain America Black Panther game.
Oh, okay.
So he was talking about that on Fat Man Beyond because they just had, I think that Disney showcase or whatever. I guess they talked
D23.
I guess they talked about it there. But this was a really fun game, especially for at the time it was great. This was also pack-in for the 360 for a while, so I feel like a lot of people probably even had this game. It was a pack-in, so they didn't even look at it. Now going back now, I don't know. It's been a while, but it was a fun game at the time, and it's just something we played in the fall. I remember my dad yelling at us down the stairs, "Come on and rake these damn leaves," and we're like, "No, we're playing a game.
We're playing Marvel." It was a lot of fun.
So
I loved it. Yeah.
This is the nostalgia pile.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll lead us actually into one of our last 2 games, and we're going to talk about a big fall game. These are 2 PS2 games going up, but SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Now, this came out in 2002 for the PlayStation 2. At the time, if you guys remember wrestling games, Xbox had their own series. They had the Raw series, GameCube.
Not as good.
No, and they had GameCube at Day of Reckoning. I think they actually had WrestleMania X8 out at the time, then 19 the next year. But this was the game. This came out a year after Just Bring It, a year before Here Comes Your Pain. I know Matt got off the SmackDown train at Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah, that was the last one for me, because this was the last great one for me.
This is. And most people talk about either Just Bring It or they talk about Here Comes the Pain, but this was the one for us. We loved this game.
Shut Your Mouth, I remember, it was just such a jump. Like, Just Bring It was good, but they added so much to this game. And just the new roster and I have hours and hours and hours into that game, and we probably have hours and hours together. I remember playing at your house all the time, and
yeah, I actually got a story about this. So this came out in 2002, and I remember I asked for it for Christmas, but I was renting it at Blockbuster all the time until Christmas came out, and they didn't have it for like 2 straight weeks. And I remember my mom felt bad for me, so she just gave it to me so I could play it because I love this game. And this again, the creator wrestler in this, I remember because.
Johnny Spade.
Yeah, I mean, my character, Johnny Spade, all the time. But then also, Kane got unmasked in WWE in 2003, and before Here Comes Your Pain. Here Comes the Pain. So I made Kane in the game without the mask. Yeah, and then I made the burned version of Kane. I just had so many great memories. This had a great story mode. You can walk around the back, and it was Madison Square Garden. You can go play in Times Square, the subway station.
Yeah.
This game had it all. And, Here Comes the Pain might have took it a little too far with that, I think. But I still liked Here Comes the Pain. I played them all up until... Actually, I still play them all. So I never really ever skipped the SmackDown, but this is the one I'm most nostalgic for.
Oh yeah, that's easily the best in my opinion.
I love this game. So that's going to bring us to our last game and our last franchise, and that is Tony Hawk's Underground.
So, Tony Hawk, as a franchise, I have them all. We only grabbed this one, but I have them all on the PS2. And I'm just nostalgic for this game because I remember when I was very young, we used to go to my aunt's or cousin. I don't remember where we went for Thanksgiving, but I remember my mom was always in charge of making the pies. So she would get, I guess, these frozen pies because they would just have to go in the oven for a few hours. But I remember waking up in the morning on Thanksgiving, not having really too much to do, but I would just start a new game on Tony Hawk, and I would see how far I can get before we had to leave to go to wherever we went. But I just remember playing this game. The house smelled like the pies that were baking in the oven all day, all morning, and Tony Hawk games are just amazing.
And they always came out in the fall. And I think from Underground through American Wasteland is when Tony Hawk... That was my favorite ever. I know you got the generation who loves 1 and 2, the generation who loves 3 and 4.
I like 3 and... I think 3 is... I played all of them. I liked
Oh, yeah,
2.
I had them all, too.
I liked 1 and 2 fine, but I didn't like the time limit. So when 3 got rid of that time limit... Yeah. When I started my little tradition, it was actually with 3. And then the next year I played 4, and then the year after that I played Underground. Mm-hmm. But, I think 3 and 4 and then Underground were my favorites, and then American Wasteland. Those are my top 4 Tony Hawks, in my opinion. I like the free roam aspect. I didn't like being tied down to the time limit. But I think Underground had to be my favorite. And it's just the time of the year when I played these, that's why I'm...
It had a real career mode, like, building your skater up, and then you get betrayed. Like,
yeah, that was this one. Yep.
And then they took it a little too far with Underground 2. I still had fun with Underground 2, but then, like Matt said, American Wasteland. And Project 8 was kind of the end of,
I liked Project 8, but that was the last good Tony Hawk, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, then they started with Ride and all that shit. And then we got the remakes, and, hey, Tony Hawk's kind of back. We'll see what Activision does. Or Acclaim, or whatever the hell has the rights. But anyway, that's going to do it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed our full recommendations. Like we said, it's a recommendation for them all. And as always, guys, if you like this video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And tell all your friends.